Deadman Armageddon sigils can now be gained from skilling, so talk about the craziest AFK moneymaker ever. Some of these things are damn expensive, and now you can sit at a tree with your huge risk of 10,000 GP for your rune axe, or say 20,000 GP and mine with your rune pick, or wait for it, 9 whole GP for a spade and a seed dipper and go farming instead, and all of these get you sigils that can be sold for hundreds of millions of GP. Well, I mean, they usually do, but who knows what price they're going to be this time with so many ways to get them. So this year, you have a 1 in 500 chance of rolling the global loot table, which has then got a 50% chance of being a sigil, meaning you have a 1 in 1000 chance overall when doing any of the following methods. And I've been testing out what's the fastest, the safest way, and the most profitable way to approach this method. Farming and catching chins are by far the slowest in terms of how many sigils you're going to get, but they do offer something very different because they're already quite profitable as they are, and in those skills it just kind of seems like more of an added bonus. The sigil of the hunter grants you 3 times as many chins as usual, and they are one of the most in-demand items in the whole of Deadman, with the red ones usually selling for somewhere between 3 and 5,000 GP each. That means between 9 and 15,000 GP every time you check a box, and that's before you convert it into 07 GP, and as we know, people buy GP in this game mode with 07 GP at an extraordinary rate. Now I've been waiting for Jagex to announce more information on this, and typically they'll probably release it today, so I'm going to have to go ahead and presume that the chance of 1 sigil is per catch. So a 1 in 1000 chance, even if you're using the sigil, that essentially gives you 3 chins every time you catch 1. And that makes a lot more sense fishing, because some things you can catch 10s and 20s of at a time. For Hunter, it's not going to matter if you're catching grey chins, red chins, or black chins. The only thing more hunted than the chins themselves is going to be you, and apart from maybe completing the Song of the Elves in an early bracket to access Prifdiness, there's not really any hiding place you can do this. You typically catch about 220 chins per hour according to the wiki, without PKs interrupting you, and even if you get away from a PK here, you're going to need to bang and get some more boxes out because you really can't bring extra since you need your inventory space for food in case a PK does come, so it's going to just take you a very long time to catch a decent amount. Considering all of that, hunting in itself is highly profitable, but this update will have a limited impact on it, and it's more of an added bonus for this one, giving you 1 sigil about every 8 hours. Woodcutting, mining and fishing are the best ways to cash in on this, giving sigils at a ridiculous rate. Farming though does have a restriction similar to Hunter, where you only get sigils from herbs, and unless you're planning to do herb runs anyway, generally using multiple teleports and running a lot in the biggest PvP tournament is not a great idea, even if you are risking practically nothing. So the skills where this does work really well. Mining was already insane money, and when you mine something a lot lower level than you are, you typically mine it in 3 ticks, which is just under 2 seconds. Fast respawning rocks like clay will allow you to just constantly keep mining, and at that speed, you can get a sigil every 30 minutes, risking just a rune pick. The prices this year may well be different, probably due to the same update, but getting to bracket 5 and doing this means you'll be getting mainly tier 3 sigils in that bracket, and last time they were tens of millions of GP each, sometimes hundreds of millions of GP. The only dilemma in mining is there's such good money to be made with the sigil that gives you triple the resources, the sigil that then banks it all for you, and the Infernal Smith has a 20% chance this year to turn those ores into bars. So that means if you do try and mine a higher level ore like Myth, Addy or Rune and so on, you're going to make less from the sigils, but you make more money from the ore itself. I did a few tests in some of the out of the way places like the desert mining camp. Not only do you have to complete the tourist track quest to enter it, but also you either have to ask Anna for a key during the quest or search a desk upstairs to get the key to open this gate here. The Haunted Mine is also another good spot, quite far out of the way, and there's a ton of coal, which you still mine pretty quickly at a high level. Whilst mining is the fastest method, not far behind it is woodcutting, and it's semi-AFK too. And whilst you usually don't get sigils in instances or safe zones, since Jagex is considering allowing XP in safe zones this time, there's a chance that this could mean we get the sigils in a safe zone too. If that does happen, the 3 oak trees in Varric will be the easiest money that you're ever going to make in this game. However, even presuming that we can't do that, there are oak trees all over Gilnor, including some pretty random places that PKs generally don't check, and some just 5 to 10 tiles away from a safe zone. Whilst you only get oak logs every 4 ticks if you have a high woodcutting level, it's much more chill, and that's a sigil every 40 minutes, risking just a rune axe. The downside is that items aren't transferring over to World 3, 4, 5 this time, so outlogs will be pretty cheap. Out of all of these 5 skills that you can do this for, my personal preference is going to be fishing. Fish are usually worth a decent amount anyway, it's fairly AFK just like woodcutting, and if you really want to be left alone, well, there's the ultimate safe spot. You can even do it completely risk-free, presuming you have nothing in your bank since you lose your bank in Deadman 2, by going into the Lumber's swamp, picking up a net from the spawn point here, and fishing. If you die, well, it takes 10 seconds to run back here and then just keep fishing anyway. As a bonus, another method, barbarian fishing, will even allow you to train agility and strength at the same time whilst you're gathering the sigils. Now fishing is slower unless you're tick manipulating, but you'll still get a sigil every hour, which is pretty good. That's if you're catching something at fairly low level, and even basic food still sells for a reasonable amount. Plus, the requirement of 68 fishing to enter the fishing guild is going to put off almost every PK, and it has its own bank here too, so you never ever need to leave. You can even go one better. Now I'm pretty sure the fishing trawler doesn't run in Deadman, but even still you can get the angler outfit from Mulch Pearls, but this takes about 20 hours to get. However, you can only access this little platform by wearing a full angler outfit. Here, you catch minnows which you convert into raw sharks, you fish much faster than normal and it brings it down to about 30 to 40 minutes per sigil, and there's no chance at all of a PK showing up the entire tournament, giving you the rest of the 2 weeks semi-AFK with the easiest GP you will ever make in old school.